Hello, AI Seeking the Truth. I've got another scary one for you. I think y'all are going to like it, guys. This will be soon the second biggest Oklahoma channel. I have to throw that in there and be a little bit ornery, but let's get into it, guys. My great grandfather passed away. Being the patriarch of the family, a lot of my family members were devastated. It was not a sudden death or unexpected, but it definitely didn't make the hurt any less. My great grandparents were your typical Irish family. They had 12 children, hundreds of grandchildren, and great grandchildren. The day after my grandpa passed, I decided to spend the night at my great grandmother's house with my great aunt, I'll call Sarah, and my favorite first cousin, Mark. When I arrived, I found my Nana at her seat at the end of the kitchen table, with her usual lit cigarette and a cup of tea. It was about midnight when I arrived, and I settled down at the table with her. Sarah and Mark, my whole family consists of night owls, so it was not uncommon for us to be up late into the night together. Around 2 a.m., it started to rain outside. The kitchen was surrounded by big glass windows and the sliding glass door. As we sat and reminisced about the Grampy, the weather worsened quickly. All of a sudden there was a loud crack of thunder and a flash of lightning that illuminated the whole house. Then the house was engulfed in darkness. The power had gone out. Not unusual in our area during storms, as we live on a man-made island, of sorts. We were used to these things, breaking easily here and taking a while to be fixed. Everyone went about their conversations as if it was a normal incident. But suddenly, something overcame me. I felt a rush of nausea, and my face began to tingle and go numb. Abruptly, the world fell silent to me, and all I could hear was this voice in my ear. At first, it was a whisper that I strained to hear, but rapidly it grew louder as I was able to clearly understand what it was saying to me. Someone is dead. My head rushed with thoughts. Of course someone is dead. My Grampy had just died in the day before. I felt that if I didn't repeat what the voice was telling me, that it was going to continue to weaken me. It was a weird feeling, not to be in control of my body, but to still and be fully conscious and aware of my surroundings. I was having an internal battle with myself because as much as I somehow knew how to stop this, I hadn't, and I didn't want to upset my Nana, who had been through enough pain already. Finally, after about 3 minutes and feeling like I was on the brink of losing consciousness, a loud bang erupted from outside. Everyone fell silent, and I blurted out, "Someone is dead." Everyone looked over at me, and they all looked puzzled as I repeated myself. My aunt, trying to defuse the situation, said, "Someone probably just hit the pole, and that is what the noise was." Not sure how that was supposed to lighten the mood, but I commend her for her effort in trying to deflect my crazy outburst. Immediately after I said the words, my body instantly felt relief. It was as if a weight was lifted off my chest, and the nausea and faintness disappeared in an instant. Everyone decided it was best to go to bed, as it was just past 3 a.m. now. As I got ready to lay down, my cousin came to me very frightened. He was checking all the doors and windows to make sure that they were locked, and was asking me more about what I had said that. I explained what had happened to me, and how I knew the only way to make it stop was to say that out loud to everyone. He was nervous to say the least, and we ended up each taking a couch in the living room to sleep for the night. The next day, many of my family came to visit, and it was a blur of bodies trying to comfort and console each other. I was talking to my cousin M and his sister L when all of a sudden the phone rang. My Nana answered the phone and then abruptly let out the most devastating cry I've ever heard. She fell to the floor crying and yelling, "Don't you say that to me!" Everyone was confused and rushed to her side. Being only 12, I was ushered into the living room as the adults tried to shelter us from the situation. But there were no doors in the room, so I could clearly hear the commotion in the kitchen right next to us. Finally, Elle snuck into the kitchen to investigate and came back a few minutes later. As she came up to Em and I, my mother had just walked over to our group asking what had happened, as she had just arrived. Without skipping a beat, my cousin Elle said that our other cousin A had committed suicide in the early hours of the morning, and everyone, including my Nana, had just found out. At that point, I had completely forgotten about the night before, surprisingly, but my cousin M certainly had not. His eyes looked like they were going to fall out of his head, and he looked at all of us and said, "You told us last night that this had happened." Suddenly, he spewed the events of the past night to my mother and cousin and kept saying, "She's a psychic, she's psychic." To this day, he still says that, and it's a story he loves to reminisce about almost every time we're together. I don't know if I'm a psychic. I've not had many other weird things happen to me, but that night it was just a voice. And the voice just started talking in my ear, and then it took over my body that warned us. I'm not sure if this was my grampy trying to warn us or something more sinister at play. Either way, it was happened to me, and another time when I was 14, but not since. It was a scary experience for me, but both times, as soon as I spoke the words of the hearing aloud, which were basically me saying death was coming, the event stopped immediately. I've done a lot of research, and I'm torn between psychic empathy episodes, some type of possession, or maybe just a ghostly warning. Any ideas would be greatly appreciated in helping me. Well, I'm not real sure if you're, if you attend a church or whatever. I would speak with a preacher and see what they think. That would be my only thing to tell you. I know that what happened to you sounds really weird. Not to be able to control your body is definitely really weird. I would think possession if I was to guess, but I think you should speak to somebody that knows more about it than I do. And I hope you find rest and peace. And, just pray is all I can tell you. And hopefully that they will have answers for you. I'm sure our viewers will have answers for you, and they will leave it in the comments. So hopefully you'll be able to see those, and we can give you somewhat of an ease. Thank you for sharing your story with us, and we'll see you all on the next one.